My name is Juliana Voloshina. Today we'll be having an interview with you, and all of our interview will be based on the questions that I collected from our Ukrainian community. Okay? So, number one question that I have, I will try to be very sharp, very brief, very quick, because we don't have much time, so we'll do it as quick as possible. So, on Canada dossier, 10th of March was written that for the 2024-2025 school year, the government of Alberta has allocated annual funding of $20 million for the school nutrition programs to 63 public school jurisdictions and 12 public charter schools. How about the Catholic schools? There is not written that they are including in this funding. And do you have any plans to include them as well?
Yeah, I believe that our Catholic schools are also part of the program. I would need to just double check, but we do try to provide the school nutrition grant to as many of our partners as we can, because we know that in some circumstances, students may not have the ability to have a fully nutritious breakfast or meal before they go to school. And of course, you can't function at your very best if you don't have a good nutritious meal. So it is a priority for us, and I'd be happy to follow up a little bit more about all of the different partners that participate.
Thank you so much. And my next question is related to this question as well. How will the program be funded in the long term, and which schools will be prioritized for receiving these resources?
Yeah, so we leave it up to our school boards to decide which schools should receive it and how they want to administer the funds. Of course, the government doesn't know the details about every single individual school that we have. We have over 2,000 schools in the province, but our school boards know their communities best. So we do leave it to them to make the decisions about which schools can participate in the program. In terms of providing this program for the long term, it is something that we do want to see. And that's part of the reason why we did invest the $20 million this year. And I'm confident in future years, we can continue to evaluate if the program is working and make sure that we continue to provide adequate funding for it.
Thank you so much. Next question, it will be about classroom sizes and infrastructure. So given Alberta's growing population, how is the budget being used to address our crowding in schools?
Yeah, there's no question we have some crowding issues in our schools. Our population is growing very, very quickly over the last 2 years, and this is putting a lot of pressure on our schools. So we're doing two things to help address this issue. Number one, we are building a lot of new schools. In September, the Premier announced that we are going to invest $8.6 billion to build over 100 new schools across the province. So we have put together a very aggressive plan to build schools. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to hire more teachers and other staff. In the budget, we are planning to spend over $1 billion over the next 3 years to hire more than 4,000 teachers and other educational support staff. So I'm very confident by building more schools and hiring more staff, we can help reduce some of the pressure in our classrooms.
Thank you so much for your answer. And actually, it's caused additional question for me that a couple of people also commented about it. Considering that now there is staff strikes, there might be potentially teacher strike as well. We are hiring more teachers and more facilitators to those students. How about increasing the salaries for the current staff who are already working at school?
Yeah, that is something that the government is offering, and there is, of course, a negotiation process that needs to happen when it comes to settling and reaching an agreement on teacher salaries and other salaries, but we are looking to put more funding into our education system. And in the last 4 years, we were able to provide a salary increase to teachers and to other staff, and so we'll continue to have the conversations and the negotiations, and I'm confident that we can reach a deal that works for everybody.
Thank you so much for your answer. Hopefully there really will be some deal. The next question, actually again related to the previous questions a bit. To be honest with you, quite so many Ukrainians wrote to me about private schools. They did some research. I didn't do it myself. I'm just based on their research I'm talking about. They said that in Calgary, we have really nice private schools. Somehow in Edmonton, it's not so many of them. Even if we have some, it's 40 students in a wait list for one class. So basically it's impossible to be admitted by that school. Can you clarify more for us why there are not more private schools in Edmonton? Is government not supporting this idea? There is some other reasons why it's not happening. Do you know more about it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think the answer would be something a little bit more detailed, because the government is not really involved in creating and starting private schools. They do have to apply to the government in order to start, but we don't provide any direction or say that there can only be this many private schools in Calgary, or we need to open 2 more private schools in Fort McMurray or Edmonton. This is up to the individuals that make the decision to create a private school. So I guess perhaps just in Calgary, maybe there's more individuals that wanted to start private schools to do different things than in Edmonton, but there's complete flexibility. If Edmonton and Edmontonians wanted to create 10 more private schools next year, that's something that's definitely available to them.
So in general, if to summarize this question, if there is some private investor who would like to build some school, government is in favor of this initiative, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. If an organization wants to create a new private school, we're generally in favor of it. Of course, we would want to look at the details of the application and who they are and what kind of education they're going to provide. But we believe in the idea of parental choice. We believe that parents should have a lot of different options available to them and their kids so that they can choose if they want public, Catholic, charter, private, home education. We believe that this is important. So we would try to help them register if they were interested.
Thank you. Next question will be about education budget and learning resources. How is the education budget being allocated to ensure students have access to necessary learning materials, including textbooks and printing resources, to supplement a digital learning? I will explain for you a bit shortly about this question. A couple of parents complained to me that it's going so much into the digital learning that there is no update into the books. And books are very outdated, old. So they were asking more like why we don't have this system here. And probably this question is going back because in Ukraine, all the things mostly is on the books. There is digital implementation as well, but still we are using much more books in the schools. And if there is no books, like why don't they give some printout to students so it would help them to study together with the digital tools as well?
Yeah, it's a very, very important point as we become a more digital society and we do more things online to make sure that we still have a lot of the physical, textbooks and other resources. So we do recognize that we have both of these challenges. We again leave it mostly up to our school boards to determine how they want to manage their operations, but we do provide our school boards with money to address both of these issues. We do provide them with some funds for digital resources and technology. And we also provide our school boards with money so that they can develop textbooks, resources, workbooks, handouts, and other things to help support students. So we do both of these things. There might be some concerns that some of our textbooks are old or older, and this is partly because our curriculum needs to be updated. And that's one of the things that we're working on and putting a lot of attention towards, is to update our curriculum. For example, like our computer science curriculum is, I think, almost 20 years old. Our social studies curriculum, we're actually right now in the middle of updating our social studies curriculum. Again, similarly, is almost 20 years old. So we need to make sure the curriculum and the content that we're teaching is new and updated so that we can get new material into the classrooms as well.
So to summarize these questions, Ministry is providing money to schools, and schools already decide where do they allocate this money, to be able to provide more digital technology into the school, or to be able to buy or print or order more books which will be used by students during the study process. So this decision is made by school itself, correct?
Correct, yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much, makes sense. Good. We are moving really quickly. I like our way how we do it. Okay, next one. It will be about home policy and educational standards. Okay, the question is, has the ministry evaluated the impact of eliminating mandatory homework in some schools? And I explained for you a bit about these things. Again, back in Ukraine, and all my audience are Ukrainian, we had a very strict process like learning at home. I think you had something similar probably in your country. You're coming home, you have a lot of homework to do, and you need to do. Here the system is a bit different. Yes. Even my son, every Saturday he goes to the Ukrainian school, but during the weekdays he goes to traditional Canadian school. And he doesn't like the Ukrainian school because they give homeworks there. So, but he loves Canadian schools because here is no homework.
No homework.
What are your thoughts about these things, that there is no mandatory homeworks?
Yeah, again, I was born and raised in Calgary, and I had a very similar experience to your son. I went to, Canadian school. I went to a public education, and then on Saturday morning I would go to Greek school, and it was very similar. I think it's an important conversation that we need to have, because I do believe very much in the value and importance of homework for a couple of different reasons. I think that it helps to make sure that parents are involved as much as they can be in their child's education, because whenever there's homework coming in, the parents need to be involved. They need to be paying attention to what kind of work is happening at school, but also it just helps to build the learning. It's something I think that we need to have a bigger conversation about, but something that I've always felt to be valuable.
Do you think ministry should be involved into it, or it's more should be schools and teachers deciding these matters?
Well, I think the ministry has a responsibility to set the basic standards for our education system. That's one of the main jobs of the ministry, is to set the standards, and then we leave our school boards to achieve those standards. So that may be something that we need to explore in more detail in the future.
Thank you. Next question. Is there consideration of reinstating a structured homework system, given that optional assignments are often not taken as seriously by students? So it's similar questions. Yeah,
very similar question. I think that it's maybe something that we need to talk more about with our teachers, our parents, school boards, and get a better understanding if we need to look at this policy again. So we haven't done any work in the ministry on this policy, but it might be something that we need to do some more research into in the next couple of years.
The next question is technology and digital learning. It's a bit actually also similar like I asked about before, and I think you already mostly answered for it. I just would like that you would confirm again if I understood it correctly. So with the increase of use in digital tools in education, it's not just laptops and for like personal study process for students like generally, yeah? We use it much more and much more different technologies right now in our educational process. Is there a dedicated budget for improving technology in classrooms?
Yeah, we don't have a dedicated budget to building technology in the classrooms, but we do a couple of things. So number one, when we're building new schools, we do try to build new schools in a way that do incorporate new technology. So whether that's, building in smart boards or things like that, or other projectors, we do try to make sure that those are part of new designs when we're building schools. And when we do provide recommendations about resources that teachers can use, we do try to make sure that there are digital and virtual resources, YouTube videos or other online tools that teachers can use to help support their teaching of the curriculum.
Thank you so. Yes, and the last question. Thank you so much.
Garrett needs to get me off to my next meeting, so I think we have just a few more minutes.
It's good. He's very responsible. It's really very good. And the last question: how about post-COVID? So, there is some special system, special tools, special supports for kids to be back to school and for staff as well, actually, for all of this effect of post-COVID things?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have, of course, everybody back to school. I know during COVID, we had to close schools for a period, but everything is back in person as normally. But one of the things that we are paying close attention to are student scores and student achievement. Not just in Alberta, but across Canada and around the world, student scores have fallen. And many people say that this is because of the impacts of COVID. So one of the things that we're doing in Alberta, and we're actually a leader in Canada, is to require every student in kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 to have their reading, writing, and math ability screened so that we can understand if a student will have some difficulties in the future, and then we can give them some individual and targeted help and support so that they can succeed. So we are trying to pay close attention to students' abilities and make sure that those students that did have impacts are able to recover and succeed.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your time and for your answers that you gave right now to our community. I really appreciate it. And
my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and hopefully next time in a couple of months, if there will be more questions from the community, we will be able to schedule one more interview again.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.